All rise for the jury. Be seated, ladies and gentlemen. All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, at this time, we will continue with the defense presentation of their evidence. You may call your next witness.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. The defense calls Adam Coy to the stand.
Good afternoon. All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do, Your Honor.
You may be seated. All right, you've heard me indicate to everyone how important it is to speak into the mic so that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury can hear you.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, as well as how important it is to respond verbally. So for the record, please state your name, spelling your last.
Adam Coy, C-O-Y.
Thank you. You may inquire.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Coy.
Good afternoon, sir.
May I call you Adam?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. How old are you, Adam?
I just turned 48, sir.
Are you married?
I am.
Your wife's name?
Jacqueline Nicole Coy.
How long have you been married?
We've been married for 23, together 25.
Took you 5 years to figure out to marry her? Is that what you're saying?
A couple years, sir.
All right. Do you have children?
Yes, sir.
How many?
I have 3 boys,
How old are they?
21, 19, and 17.
And where are they in their stages of life?
They're still trying to figure it out. They've got some jobs. One went to college and then decided it wasn't for him and came back home, but they're all doing well.
Where did you grow up, Adam?
I grew up in Union County,
Okay. Where did you go to high school?
North Union.
North Union High School?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what year did you graduate?
I graduated in 1995.
What did you do after that?
2 days after high school, I was at Fort McClellan, Alabama for the Army for military police school.
Okay. Had you researched that before graduating?
Yes, sir.
Why did you want to enter the military?
My grandfather was a Marine MP, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps.
Can I ask you a favor, Adam?
Yes, sir.
You just slow down just a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Reporter. She has enough problems with me, okay? What's it take to, I'm sorry, what branch did you enlist in?
It was the Army, sir.
And where were you stationed?
My first station was at Fort McClellan, Alabama. From there, I went to Fort Hood. From Fort Hood, I got deployed to Panama for the anniversary of the invasion. From there, I went back to Fort Hood, and again was deployed to Johnston Atoll. It's 630 nautical miles west of Hawaii, out in the middle of the ocean. It's near Hawaii, 630 nautical miles. Johnston Atoll. I apologize. From there, I went back to Fort Hood, Texas, and I was discharged from Fort Hood.
Okay, so how long had you served in the military?
5 years, sir.
And what type of discharge?
Honorable, sir.
And what was your highest rank that you achieved?
Sergeant E5.
What does that mean for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
That your E5 is your rank. Your sergeant is what you wear on your collar, the 3 stripes.
After leaving the military, what did you do?
I returned back to Ohio. From there, I went to JCPenney and did loss prevention while I was attending the Delaware Police Academy.
What does that mean, the Delaware Police Academy, Adam?
It was I used my GI Bill to pay for the academy, and I went through the Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy that was based in Delaware.
And what was your purpose of doing that?
I was looking to get onto one of the forces around here.
Okay. Were you eventually hired by Delaware?
I was hired by Delaware County.
In what capacity?
I was a corrections officer.
And for how long?
A little over a year, sir.
Okay. After being a corrections officer there, what did you do next?
I was hired on to Columbus Police
Okay. What year were you hired on at the Columbus Police Department?
in 2001, sir.
when you're hired onto the Columbus Police Department, do you also have to go through their OPATA or their training?
Yes, it was my third academy, sir.
Okay, third academy. Tell us about the first academy.
The first academy was military police at Fort McClellan,
Second academy.
the Delaware County.
How long is that?
It takes approximately 6 months to go through the academy and you do an evening classes.
Okay. And then the third academy is Columbus?
Yes, it was a paid for, or paid while you were attending academy.
Okay, and how long did that take?
It's approximately 6 months, sir.
Okay. And so when you graduate from the academy, are you a Columbus Division of Police officer?
You're still on probation at that point, sir.
What are your assignments or duties once you graduate from their academy?
You would go to patrol.
Okay. And are you just sent out on patrol on your own?
No, you're first going with a field training officer, an FTO, and they take you around and they explain all the things you learned from the academy, you're actually put into practical use.
Okay. So you have someone with more seniority and experience with you
Yes, sir.
on a daily basis?
Yes, sir.
How long does that last for?
At that point in time, we had three field training officers, so it takes about 2.5, 3 months.
Okay. Now, when you went to these academies, you were trained on police practices and procedures,
Yes, sir.
use of force,
Yes, sir.
firearms,
Yes, sir.
hand-to-hand combat,
Yes, sir.
all of those types of things at all three academies.
Yes, sir. 3 times.
Okay. And eventually, when you're, what's it called when you no longer need a training officer with you?
That you're in patrol at that point, sir.
Okay. And when did you go into patrol?
It would have been late 2001, early 2002, and I went to 16 precinct, which is the downtown area, C Company, which is third shift, 11P to 7A.
Third shift is 11P to 7A.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And basic duties as a patrol officer, Adam?
You would respond to runs, the dispatched runs. You would pick up traffic incidents on your own, things of that nature.
Okay. You'd have to follow up on calls?
Yes, sir.
What types of calls would you have in patrol?
And you can get anything from domestic violence to thefts to burglaries. It's to the broad range of, we're the first contact in patrol.
OMVIs,
Yes, sir.
noise complaints,
Yes, sir.
everything that the other officers have testified here to, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And subsequently, did you stay on that shift?
I moved to evening midwatch, which is a 10-hour shift, then it's 7P to 5A.
Okay. Evening midwatch, let's start first with what does midwatch mean for ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Midwatch means you're actually in a unit that covers the half shifts. You're there for half of second shift and half of third shift to cover shift changes.
So there's always people out there.
Yes, sir.
My understanding is midwatch patrol has a greater distance to patrol.
Yes, we cover the entire zone.
Okay. When a patrol officer is on a specific shift, first, second, or third, they don't cover an entire zone, correct?
No, they cover in precincts.
Okay, all right. How many precincts are on average in a zone?
It changes constantly, but I would say approximately 5 to 6.
Okay, okay. All right. And why did you want to work, so, I'm sorry, how long had you worked that shift?
The rest of my career, sir.
Why would you want to work from 7P till 5A?
It worked out good for our family. My wife worked during the day. I could be at home and have dinner ready for the kids when they got off the bus. And we would all have dinner together, then they would go to bed and I would go to work.
So you were a Columbus City police officer for how long?
19 and a half years total, sir.
Okay, and while you were a Columbus police officer, did you have other assignments or other specialties?
Yes, I taught at the ordnance, at the range, our firearms range.
You said you taught. What does that, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you mean when you teach?
So I went and got additional certifications for pistol, revolver, shotgun, rifle, and executive protection through OPATA, the Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy. That allowed me to then go back to Columbus and teach firearms to the recruits and to day-to-day officers.
How much training did you have in order to be certified by OPATA as a weapons officer?
Each one of those courses is a 16 to 20-hour course, depending on if it's the pistol, the rifle, or the shotgun, but I went out each time.
Okay. So once you're certified there, you are now a firearm instructor. And where do you teach that aspect?
We taught at our range that Columbus has, and I also taught at the Union County range.
Okay. So when you mean teach at a range, is there classroom aspects to Columbus officers being trained in that?
Yes, we go in the classroom where we go over the details of the firearm itself, how to clean it, how to maintain it, what actions and things that you do with it. And then we also have range time where they actually go out and fire the weapons.
And they have to qualify?
They do.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen jury what qualifying means.
Qualify is the state has set a certain level that you must shoot at, a certain percentage. And it's different for each course that you're going through. You would set up your qualifications, they would come in and do those, but we would also do shoot and no shoot scenarios where we would set up targets that you could change out the hands to be different items.
Okay. And how long had you done that?
For approximately 9 years.
Okay. So in that 9 years, are you there at the range every day?
No, sir, I was on patrol. I was a guest instructor. I would go out and assist whenever they needed help.
Give the ladies and gentlemen jury an average over the 9 years, how often that would happen during the year?
2 or 3 times each year, they would call us out for requalification or recruit training.
How long would you spend out there, that 2 to 3 times a year?
Again, it varied from time to time, but usually a few weeks at a time.
Okay. So you're out at the range on average about 6 weeks out of the year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in that situation, they have to qualify in the handling of a firearm, right?
Yes, sir.
Qualify in shooting a certain percentage at a target, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then they have to qualify in the shoot, don't shoot course.
Yes, sir.
What happens if they don't pass those?
If they don't pass the course, they could lose their badge and gun at that point in time when I was doing it. And they would have to come back out and retest again.
Okay. And you mentioned, are you testing brand-new officers, regular officers, senior officers? Who are you training at that point in time?
All officers, sir.
Okay, why?
Because when I would go out for the recruit training, that's what I was there for to get them through the academy. And then I would also go out and teach the rifle training. Those are usually seasoned officers, a lot of times with military background, that we would have issued a rifle for the street.
How were you trained to shoot at a perceived deadly threat?
Center mass, sir,
Okay. When do you stop shooting?
when the threat is stopped.
Okay. Are you trained to shoot at an extremity or injure them?
Absolutely not, sir.
Are you trained to kill them?
No, sir.
And is there any number of shots or number of things? Well, I'm sorry, strike, I apologize. On the course, when is the threat over?
Usually, once the instructors either called it or the targets actually turn and face and turn away. We also had a robot that was on the ground that you could put the target on and move it around the barricades and things like that for them to get a more realistic feel for the training.
And just, did you ever train with a dog concept?
Yes, we had some of our targets that we had was an attacking Rottweiler, so to teach officers that a dog could be a threat as well.
Have you ever trained where something was a threat at first, then wasn't, then became a threat again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why do you train on those types of things, Adam?
We're trying to give the students or the officers the best chance of a reality situation that they may come into and contact in the real world.
Based on your training as well as that you received in your experience, what does reasonable suspicion mean to you as a police officer, Adam?
Reasonable suspicion is when you have thoughts and ideas that a situation could be leading towards a crime and that you need to investigate further.
Okay. Is that the lowest level needed in law enforcement to go forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how would you use reasonable suspicion on a daily basis as a patrol officer?
Absolutely.
Have you had times when you thought something was going to be happening and it turned out to be nothing?
Yes, sir.
Have you had times when you thought something was going to happen and it turned out that more investigation was needed?
Yes, sir.
Have you had times when you thought something was going to happen and you actually stopped a crime?
Absolutely.
Okay. So because you're thinking about reasonable suspicion, that doesn't mean that you're saying, yeah, that's 100% what's going on.
Correct.
It means that's why you're going forward to investigate.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you've heard Mr. Pearson ask questions about Mr. Davis and other people about probable cause. That's to see somebody or arrest somebody.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In order to charge somebody, that's a higher level needed, correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
To investigate is simply going forward with reasonable suspicion.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna object leading.
Yeah,
I will,
no, rephrased, I mean sustained.
they have it, right? It's fine, that's fine. Have you been mistaken about reasonable suspicion?
I have, sir.
All right. Adam, you've been in here, you've seen some pictures of yourself, correct?
I have.
All right, and between December 20th, 22nd, December of 2020 and today, you have some issues in your life with regards to treatment and medication that affect you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Shakes, other things, physical and mental side effects, correct?
I have lots of neuropathy, sir.
Okay. I apologize, I don't know what neuropathy is, but I won't go into it, okay? All right. I want to take you back to December 20th, 22nd of 2020, okay?
Yes, sir.
Were you on mid-watch that evening?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. That time of year, based on your experience and training, what are some crimes that are more likely, what goes on that time of year with regards to patrol officers?
Usually at around Christmas time, there's a lot more items sitting in a house that are readily available to grab and take away. Burglaries and thefts really skyrocket during those times.
Aspects of garages?
Garage thefts, breaking into cars, stealing packages off of porches, all those things go up during the holidays.
Tell the jury how you, if you remember, how you started your shift that day. What normally would you do?
I would have drove to 5 Sub, which is at the corner of Cleveland and 11th, and that's where I would have gathered my equipment for the night and got my patrol vehicle.
Okay. And when you get there, what happens next?
We have roll call, sir.
Okay. What typically happens at roll call?
Roll call is where you talk to the other shifts. They can tell you anything that's going on that day, something that you might need to be aware of, any complaints that we have in the neighborhoods that you need to attend to, and you would talk with your other officers on where we were going to space out over the zone.
Okay. How many people are on, and what zone is it?
I was on zone 4 at the time, sir.
How many people would be on mid-watch with you during that time? Excuse me, how many officers? I apologize.
10 to 12, sir.
Okay, all right. What happens next?
I was assigned to 9031. I gathered all my equipment for the night, loaded my vehicle up, and went out on regular patrol.
Okay. Anything of significance prior to to having this run?
No, sir.
Okay. Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what happens or what you remember about being dispatched on this run.
I was at around Ackerman and Olentangy. I was eating my lunch. The call came in for service for 16 on Oberlin Avenue. I set my lunch down and put my car in drive and started that way.
Okay, what's a 16, Adam?
I'm sorry, a 16 is a disturbance,
Okay.
which the call itself came in, sounded more like a suspicious vehicle, suspicious person. It was that a silver SUV was turning it on and off repeatedly for the last couple hours.
Okay, so when you get this straight, when you hear this, it's not just, hey, 16 at this address, it's the type of run is a 16, but they tell you information.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you put your car to go there, you had that, what information did you have at that time?
That there was a vehicle sitting out in front of the 1054 Oberlin, that it had been turning on and off for several hours, and the caller was concerned.
Okay, when you hear that, based on your experience and training, what goes through your mind at that time, Adam?
At first, I thought, due to the time of the year, a lot of homeless are starting and stopping the cars to reheat the inside of the car up so that they can stay warm.
Okay, all right, so how long do you think it took you to get to 1054 Oberlin?
Approximately 5 minutes.
Were you timing it?
No, sir, I was not.
Okay. Describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when you pulled up, did you pull up right in front of 1054?
I pulled up in front of 1054 Oberlin. There was a silver SUV there. I exited my vehicle and began to shine my flashlight on it. As I shined my flashlight on it, the caller came out the front door and said, "Sir, officer, that's not the right vehicle. It moved down there," and pointed further down the roadway.
Okay. So you took note of a silver SUV, you're out there investigating, you realize that the caller is down farther.
Yes, sir.
Could you see that car?
I could, and I could see that it was running at the time because there was exhaust coming out of the back muffler.
Okay. Did you take note of that the fact that the car was in front of 1054 but now somewhere else, did that come in, did Did you take that into your thought process?
It seemed odd to me that the vehicle had sat there for a couple hours and then raised the caller and called that it had moved. But I took the caller for what he pointed out to me and told him I would investigate.
Okay, what did you do next?
I got back into my patrol vehicle and I pulled down behind the silver SUV and I offset my bumpers to their bumper the way we're taught to make a traffic stop. It creates a lane that you can walk in that is safer for you to stand in.
Okay. And where did you pull down to?
I pulled down to 10, at that point the vehicle was parked in front of 1070 Oberlin.
Okay. And from pictures, was it on the closest part of 1070 or the farthest part of 1070?
Right about the middle, sir.
Okay, all right. And what was your intent, what were you intending to do when you pulled up behind that vehicle on the offset? What was your intention?
To make contact with the person that was in the vehicle and ask them why they were there.
Okay. When you hear the term suspicious vehicle, suspicious person, do you then have reasonable suspicion to investigate further?
I need to, yes, sir.
Okay. You couldn't just go away?
No, sir.
Okay. So your intent is to approach, what happens next, Adam?
As I'm walking up to the vehicle, the driver puts down the driver's side window, takes his left arm, puts it on his right knee and his right hand, and he leans out and back towards me, showing me a cell phone.
Okay. So if you are the flag for the courtroom for the record, you're approaching like where the flag is, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the person is facing this way?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So would you show that again for the ladies and gentlemen jury? Okay. And where are you in relation to that flag, so to speak?
I was walking up towards the vehicle.
Apologize. How far away do you think you were from the window at that point?
Be about 6 feet, maybe.
Okay. And then what happens next, Adam?
The driver says that I'm waiting for someone to come out. They're going to be out in a second.
Okay. Did the driver show you something?
He showed me the screen. I could see that it was a text screen. You could see the text bubbles, but I couldn't read anything on it.
Okay. So at this point in time, what's going through your thought process?
That this person's just picking somebody up and they're about to leave.
No issues, right?
No issue, sir.
Okay. Are you leaving at that point?
No, I tell the driver that I had to respond because we received the call and to have a good evening. Went back to my vehicle. I opened the door. I sat in the driver's seat and left my door open.
Why would you leave your door open?
It's the way we're trained. It's so that you can get out of the vehicle quickly if you need to. And I do it every single time.
When you are up talking to the person in the vehicle that shows you, what did you notice about the car?
The dark tinted windows, and there was a lot of items in the car.
Okay. What did you notice about the individual that you were having that conversation with? How did that person seem to you?
He seemed wide-eyed, a little jittery, and dismissive of me. He wanted to break contact with me as soon as he could.
It's not uncommon for someone to encounter a police officer to be bright-eyed and jittery.
No, sir.
It's not uncommon for civilians to not want to talk to officers, right?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Why did you note those things?
It's just part of our training. It's what we see. We're watching for all these physical cues that a person gives. A lot of times you can read the body language and then add that to what they're telling you, and it gives you the bigger picture.
Once he showed you the phone and told you something to the effect that someone will be right out, what did you tell him?
To have a good evening.
Okay. And so now you're back at the cruiser. What do you do at that point?
I sat down again. I left that door open, and I reach over, and we have a computer that's mounted to our dash. It's called an MDC. And I read the license plate off the back of the vehicle and ran the tag. Okay. The tag came back. Everything was fine. It wasn't stolen. The tags belonged on a vehicle of that nature, and I didn't do anything further with it.
Okay. Did the tag come back to the address there?
It didn't come back to anything on Oberlin.
Okay. All right. So again, by itself, is that very suspicious?
If it would have came back to Oberlin, it would have been a lot easier for me to dismiss it, but the fact that it did not belong in the area made me think a little more about who he was picking up.
Okay. So when you're sitting in that car, why not just leave?
The caller was still standing in the front yard watching down where we were. I wanted the individual to see that I actually handled the problem and the person was leaving. So I was waiting for the individual to come out of the house, get in the car with the other individual, and leave the area.
Okay. All right. So you run the tag, right? Or you run the license plate.
Yes, sir.
And that kicks off a time, that kicks off a whole series through the lead system, right?
Yes, everything's recorded.
Right. And then, at that point in time, had the individual left the vehicle yet?
Not at that time.
How long, I'm sorry, what happens next?
A minute or so goes by, and the individual gets out of the car, comes to the rear of his vehicle, passes between my vehicle and his vehicle.
What do you do when you see the individual get out of the car?
At that point in time, I step out of the car and stand next to my vehicle.
Why?
Again, I don't want to be caught sitting down. I don't know what the situation is, and it's just the way my training is. I do it every time.
There's nothing wrong with a person getting out of a vehicle and coming in front of you,
No.
correct? Right. Why would you then get into the position you did?
Because I do it every single time.
What do you observe at that point in time, Adam?
I observed the individual that was in the car walk to the front door, and
Where does he walk?
he walks up the driveway, and maybe,
I apologize. Is he walking up the driveway to 1070?
I'm sorry, he actually walks back down a short ways to the driveway that's more even with the back of my vehicle. It's 1062 Oberlin, the third address, and walks up to that front door.
Okay. So from your position of where you are, the individual comes in front of you, right?
Yes, sir.
You're standing up, and then comes down to your right.
Yes, sir.
And then the next house to your right is 1062,
Yes, sir.
goes up to that porch.
Yes, sir.
Was anything said by the individual to you at that point in time?
Not at that point in time, sir.
What happens next?
He bangs on the front door really hard, and waits for approximately a minute.
Okay, when he banged on the front door, did anyone come to the door?
No, sir.
Was there any reaction in the house?
Completely dark, sir.
No lights came on, anything of that nature?
That is correct.
Waits for a minute, what happens next?
He repeatedly knocks again.
Okay. What is going through your mind when he repeatedly knocks again? I'm sorry, I guess so. When he knocked repeatedly the second time, did anyone come to the door?
No, they did not.
Were there any lights that came on in the house or anything?
No, they did not.
What's going through your mind at that point, Adam?
Something's not starting to add up because he said that this person was waiting on him and about to be out. Now, why aren't they answering the front door?
Okay. What does the individual do?
Leaves the front porch, goes back in between the same route that he took to get there, passes between my vehicle and his again.
What do you say to him?
At this point in time, I don't say anything to him.
What does he do?
He goes to the front seat of his vehicle, opens the door, leans over, rummages around under the front seat and in the front side of the vehicle, and then steps back out and walks back towards again in between my vehicle.
When he goes into his vehicle and rummages around, what are you thinking?
I was wondering, what is he retrieving from the vehicle?
Okay. When you saw him walking the first time up to the house, did you see anything in his hands?
No, sir.
Okay. When he was walking back from the house, did you see anything in his hands?
No, sir.
After the rummaging and he's in front of your car, do you say anything to him?
As he starts to pass back between our vehicles again and walk back towards the house, I verbally said to him, "What's going on?"
Why did you say that?
Because I wanted to know what was going on. Things weren't adding up.
What do you mean things weren't adding up, Adam?
The statement that he had given me that he was there to pick somebody up, the fact that they were getting ready to come out, coupled with the fact that he's pounded on the front door of a house that he's not even parked in front of. There was plenty of places for him to park. He could have just pulled right up in front of 1062. All these things are starting to add up to something that isn't making sense.
So the record's clear. So from where you parked in front of 1070, there was plenty of room in front of 1060, is what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay. Or
1062.
I'm sorry, okay. And then when you asked him what's going on, was there a response?
Not verbally.
Okay. When there's no response, what goes through your mind?
Why hasn't he responded to me? It seemed like he had said that he was there to pick somebody up, and now he's distancing, himself from me further.
Okay. What else do you observe?
I'm sorry, sir?
What else do you observe next?
He walks towards the house, to 1062 Oberlin again, up the driveway. But as he's walking, he keeps looking back over his shoulder to see where I'm standing.
What does that mean to you based on your training and experience, Adam?
One of the things we look for is, they're called targeting glances. When somebody is looking at you, or I've even had them where I'm talking to them and they're staring at items on my belt, it makes you start to think, what is this person's intention?
The fact that he's looking back or targeting you, what does that do to you towards reasonable suspicion?
With the totality of everything that's going on at this point, I'm starting to gather more reasonable suspicion that there is a crime going on and he's not being truthful with me.
Okay. All right. So what's your intent? What are you going to do next?
At this point in time, I haven't moved. He's going up the driveway and I see that there's a vehicle coming down the roadway. So I look to my right and I see that it's Officer Detweiler and she's about to pull up with me.
I understand that, but at this point in time, when the person walks away from you, doesn't answer, are you going to find that person and investigate?
Yes, I need to know what's going on.
Okay. Officer Detweiler pulls up.
Yes, sir.
And so just for the record, that would be behind the flag, correct?
Yes, sir.
That way, okay. More in front of 1062,
Correct.
okay. When you look to see Officer Detweiler, can you now see the individual that was in the car?
No, he's gone from my line of sight. There was a pine tree there. When he went around the pine tree, I couldn't see him anymore.
Okay. What are you going to do next with regards to furthering your investigation?
We need to question the individual, find out what's going on, possibly try to make contact with people in the house.
Where were you going to head?
I'm sorry, sir?
In order to do that, were you heading to the front of the house, down the street, or behind the house?
Well, at first, before I even move, I turn to Officer Detweiler as she gets out. And at that point, I say, she asked me, what do we have? And I said, I'm not sure what's going on, but something's not right.
Okay. Had you conveyed to her that Tag didn't come back to this neighborhood?
No.
Okay. Had you conveyed, when you say something's not right, had you worked with Officer Detweiler before?
Many years, sir.
When, and I apologize, what did she say to you?
She had asked me when she first stepped out, she had said, is it code 4?
What's that mean?
That she's not needed, that she can just clear the run.
Okay. And what did you tell her?
That's when I told her something, I don't know what we got, but something's not adding up.
Okay, all right. What is your intent next, Adam?
To make contact with the individual that I originally had contact with and see where he went. I was gonna go around the back side of the house.
Okay. Why the back side of the house?
He tried to make entry in the front half and didn't get in. I figured the next door available was probably in the backyard.
Okay, all right. And that's based on your experience?
Yes, sir.
Where do you start to go towards?
We walk up the driveway of 1062 Oberlin,
I apologize for interrupting, but when you say we, I have to ask you, who's we?
myself and Officer Detweiler.
And where is Officer Detweiler in relationship to you?
She's behind me and to my right.
Okay. And what path do you take at this point in time?
I had went to the left side of the driveway so that I could get a better view of the last place that I saw the individual at. And Officer Detweiler was offset from me to my rear and over on the right-hand side of the driveway.
Okay. Do you know if Officer Detweiler had her weapon out or not?
No, sir.
Did you have your weapon out at that point?
No, sir.
Okay. So to give the jury some perspective, so you're coming, if you're 1062, you're coming from the left of, facing, you're to the left of 1062.
Yes, sir.
Officer Detweiler's kind of coming straight up,
Yes, sir.
1062. When you go around, or when you go step forward, what's the first thing you notice?
That the garage door is open and it's pitch black.
Why is that important to you?
Again, the thefts and robberies, burglaries, and things that happen this time of year, and I didn't notice before, but now this garage door is open, and didn't know if they purposely left it open, if somebody had broken into it. I just knew it was open and dark.
Why is the dark important to you in your analysis?
Being that I don't know what's inside the garage, I then use my flashlight to shine in to see.
When you realize that the garage door is open and dark, are you still going to go to the back of the house, or where are you going to head next?
My intention at first was to go to the back of the house, but as I see the garage doors open, it changes my focus from the rear of the house to the garage door. And at approximately the same time, I see a light flicker in the back corner of the garage.
Okay. When you first observed the garage door open and dark, could you see anybody in there?
No, sir.
At this point, do you have a continuing duty to investigate?
Absolutely.
Go forward.
Yes, sir.
At what point do you see something in the garage?
Maybe 2 or 3 steps up the driveway, I see a flicker low to the ground in the back corner of the garage.
Okay. And if you're looking at the garage, where do you see that?
At the back right-hand side.
Okay. And you say you see the flicker low?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what do you do at that point in time, Adam?
I have my flashlight out and I start shining my flashlight into that corner so I can light up what flicker I saw.
What do you observe?
Mr. Hill is crouched down in the back right-hand corner of the garage.
Okay. Crouched down. And why, when you say someone's crouched down, what does that mean to you in your investigation?
It seems weird with everything else that has occurred thus far in this run. Now, why is this person in the dark garage kneeled down in the back corner of a house that no one's answering?
Okay. And with garages I mean, sometimes people forget to close garage doors, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there was no light on that was tripped on or anything like that?
No, sir.
Pitch black?
Yes, sir.
All right. You see the person crouched down, what happens next?
I shine my flashlight on him and I say, something's not adding up here. Come out here, show yourself.
Okay. Something's not out here, come out here, show yourself. When you say show yourself, have you used that before as a police officer?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by that?
Due to the fact that he was crouched in the corner, I was talking to his whole body. I wanted to see every bit of him.
Okay. Were you eventually able to see his whole body?
No, sir.
Okay. When you first saw him, which way was he facing?
He was facing towards the house and standing in the garage facing towards the house.
All right. So if you're the back of the garage, he would be facing towards the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was your thought process at that point when you observed that fact?
What is he doing in there? Why is it dark? Why is he not responding to anyone inside the house?
You order him to show yourself what's going on, come out here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have your weapon out?
No, sir.
Do you know where Officer Detweiler is?
Somewhere behind me.
Okay. What happens next, Adam?
Mr. Hill's walking towards me.
Okay. Does he immediately come out?
No, sir.
Does he respond to your question? What's going on?
Not at first, sir.
Did you hear anything from him?
No, sir.
He starts walking out, correct?
Yes, sir.
How does his body appear to you at that point in time?
Instead of walking directly towards me, he kind of walks towards the parked vehicle in there, and his body is turned to where I can't see his right side. I can just see his left side.
What does that tell you based on your training?
It's called blading. It's a stance that like a boxer would take if they're going to get into a fight.
Adam, Mr. Hill's coming towards you. Can you see his right side?
No, sir, I cannot.
What do you see?
There's a cell phone in his
where-
left hand.
How does he have the cell phone?
Screen pointed outwards, kind of held up, pointed at shoulder height.
When you observed that, what went through your mind?
That it was a distraction. He was trying to get me to look at the phone.
Okay. Could you see his right side at that point in time?
Not yet.
So when you say sucked up to the car, if this is the car, the back of the car, there's a part here that's at the end of the garage, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you say as he approached you, he's sideways like this.
Yes, sir.
At some point, does he turn towards you?
Right at the very corner of the car.
Okay. And at the corner of the car, when he turns towards you, what do you see?
Silver revolver in his right hand.
Where was that silver revolver coming up in his right hand?
From behind his leg, and it was coming up at me.
Okay. And when you saw that, what did you think was going to happen, Adam?
I thought I was going to die.
What did you do in response to that, Adam?
I drew my gun. I yelled, gun, gun, and I fired 4 shots.
Why did you fire 4 shots?
That's what stopped it.
Okay. Did you fire any shots before when he was sideways?
No, sir.
Did you fire any shots when he was going to the garage or anything like that?
No, sir.
When you saw him come to the edge of the car, what did you see in his right hand?
A silver revolver.
Okay, why a silver revolver, Adam? What, describe that for ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
It's a revolver is thinner in the front and thicker in the back.
Okay. What happens next, Adam? Did you turn your body-worn camera on?
Immediately,
Okay. What happens next?
I keep my weapon trained on Mr. Hill. He's down, but I can't see the gun anymore. I can't see his hands. Officer Detweiler says that should I approach, and I tell her to stay back.
Why?
I still couldn't see his hands. I wanted to see where that gun was.
Okay. What, is that based on training?
Yes, sir.
Can someone be on the ground and not be an immediate threat, but be a potential threat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At that situation, did Officer Detweiler listen to you?
She did.
What did the two of you do next?
Gave more commands for hands to come out and slowly move forward.
What happened, Adam?
I got up to a point where I was standing next to Mr. Hill, and I rolled him back. And as I rolled him back, I looked to my left, and I started looking for where the gun was. And I seen the pile of keys sitting there. And I said, fuck. 'Cause
Why, Adam?
I knew at that point that I made a mistake.
Okay. Had you seen keys in his right hand, would you have fired your weapon?
No, sir, I would not have.
Had you seen a cigarette pack in his right hand, would you fire the weapon?
No, sir, I would not have.
Did you believe that he had a silver revolver in his hand?
I did.
Okay. How did that make you feel, Adam, when you realized that you were mistaken?
I was horrified. It was the worst night of my life.
What did you do at that point, Adam?
I went in shock. I started dry heaving. I couldn't control myself. I couldn't think straight.
Did you tell anybody what you were believing in your mind as to the reasonable suspicion about what might be going on?
No, I did not.
Why not, Adam?
I'm not quite sure. Everything just went as a blur to me, and I knew I had just been involved in an officer-involved shooting, and that I was supposed to remove myself from the situation. I'm no longer supposed to be part of this investigation.
Did you ask to call a medic?
I did.
Who did you ask that to?
Officer Detweiler.
Did you ask for officer support?
I did.
Why?
Because I had just been involved in a critical incident. I needed officer support there.
Okay. Do you remember wandering around the scene?
Not really. I remember just being dazed. I remember wandering around the driveway a little bit.
Is there any doubt in your mind that you saw something silver in Andre Hill's hand coming towards you?
No, sir, no doubt.
When you saw that, what did you believe was going to happen?
Thought I was going to die
Why did you fire your weapon at that point?
because I saw an imminent threat, and I didn't want to get shot right before Christmas.
Would you ever want to get shot after Christmas, Adam?
No, sir.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
You may.
Adam, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Cross-examination?
Take a 5-minute break, Your Honor.
We never take 5 minutes, but let's go ahead and take 10. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if we can get you back in the jury room, let's say 5 till. Okay, 5 till. Again, remember the admonitions that I've given you with respect to discussing this case among yourselves or with anyone else. All rise for the jury. right, see everyone back in about 15 minutes. May be seated, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Mr. Pearson, you may inquire.
Good afternoon, Mr. Coy.
Good afternoon, sir.
As you know, my name is Anthony Pearson. I'm going to be asking you some questions today, okay?
Yes, sir.
And most of my questions will be yes or no. So if you can answer them in that manner where possible, please do so, okay?
Yes, sir.
Also, if you don't understand my question or it's confusing or anything like that, please ask me to rephrase, or if I mumble and you can't actually hear the words that I'm asking, please let me know and I'll make sure you can hear them, okay?
Will do, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Starting off, Mr. Coy, you do admit that some of your tactics were off that night, correct?
I don't understand the question, sir.
Okay. Do you think your tactics were perfect that night?
Tactics meaning what, sir?
Everything that you did leading up from the time that you made first contact with Mr. Hill until after you left the scene.
I think my mistake, sir, was seeing keys as a revolver.
All right. Well, you acknowledge that he did not have a revolver, right?
Yes, sir.
He didn't have any weapon at all, correct?
Yes, sir.
Outside of that, mistaking the keys for a deadly weapon, you would agree that you made other mistakes that night too, correct?
No, sir.
You provided a written statement regarding the events in question, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You also had an interview with the Bureau of Criminal Investigation after that, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I believe the record that I have is that you spoke with agents on or about January 20th, 2021. Is that correct?
If that's what it says, sir.
It was about a month after this incident happened on Oberlin.
Approximately.
And your written statement was submitted to them about a week before that. Is that right?
Again, sir, I'm not sure of the timeline.
Okay. You wouldn't have any reason to disagree with that, correct?
I don't know the timeline, sir.
Okay. Let's talk about this incident. So you stated you were having your lunch when you got the call to dispatch to 1062 Oberlin?
Yes, sir.
So about how far were you into your lunch break?
I don't take a break, sir. I just eat my lunch while I'm still active and ready for service.
Okay. About how long had you gotten into your lunch before you were dispatched to this Oberlin address?
To be honest, sir, I don't even remember what I had, so I don't know.
Okay. So you're dispatched to this Oberlin address. You go there. Is this a lights and sirens call?
No, sir.
All right. And it was a noise complaint. Is that right?
No, sir.
You took it as a suspicious vehicle?
It came as a 16, which is a disturbance, but it read like a 48A, which is a suspicious vehicle, suspicious person.
All right. And when you arrive there, you see a vehicle parked in front of the house where 911 was called from. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you approach that, you get out of your cruiser at that time?
I did, sir.
And you approach that vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Ronker, the 911 caller, directed you toward where the silver SUV was, correct?
Yes, he said it was further down the road, sir.
Right. And you get back into your vehicle, move your vehicle closer to where that silver SUV was, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what did you do as soon as you parked your vehicle, I'm sorry?
What did I do, sir?
Yes, what did you do?
I exited the vehicle
And what was the purpose of exiting your vehicle?
to make contact with the person in the running vehicle.
Okay. And you stated on direct examination that Mr. Hill showed you text messages, right? He showed you a phone.
It shows me a text bubbles. That's all I could really see, sir.
That's all you could really see?
I couldn't read the text.
Okay. In your written statement, you wrote, "He showed me his phone screen that had a text message on it that said, 'I'll be right out,' or something to that effect."
He said, it told me what it was saying on the text message.
Oh, because that's, so now your testimony is he told you what it said?
While he's showing me the phone, he told me what the text message was supposed to say. I didn't actually see the text message itself.
Okay. Well, in your statement, it reads, "He showed me his phone screen that had a text message on it that said, 'I'll be right out,' or something to that effect."
In the same fashion that I would tell you this is a water bottle, sir, he was showing me his phone, telling me about the text at the same time. I never read them myself.
Okay, but you didn't say that in your written statement to the investigators, did you?
It depends how you interpret that statement, sir.
Okay. Well, let's go to your statement when you were interviewed by the Bureau of Criminal Investigation on January 20th, 2021. There was a question, "Did you see the text messages?" And your response, he held it up, and I seen something on there that said, "Be out in a sec," or "in a sec." Do you recall saying that?
No, sir.
Okay. If I played this for you, would that refresh your recollection as to whether you actually said it or not?
I would hear it, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, may I play this for the witness?
Yes, all right. We're gonna try to take 5, ladies and gentlemen. Don't leave the jury room, okay? Again, remember the admonitions that I've given you with respect to discussing this case among yourselves or with anyone else. All rise for the jury. You may be seated, everyone.
It's off the record, Your Honor. I mean, I'm fine if he says, if it's on there, would you take my word for it? I don't know why we have to do this.
Well, my assumption to refresh the witness's recollection of what he actually said. So can you just cue it up to that portion?
One moment, Your Honor. Do you have the written transcript? Maybe that'll help if you had it.
I mean, he said what he said. If it's easier to show him the transcript, I'm fine with that as well.
If you're willing to agree to that and they're willing to do that.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm just following the rules.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, Your Honor, it says, okay,
Just yes or no at this point in time?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, let's bring the jurors back in.
Can you read that?
All rise. May be seated, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Mr. Pearson, you may inquire.
Thank you. So, Mr. Coy, you did say he held it up, and I seen something on that said, be out in a sec, be out or in a sec, correct? You said
It says
those?
something like that, yes, sir.
I seen something on there that said, correct?
The full sentence is something like that, sir. I was obviously didn't know specifically at that point either.
Okay. But there was no indication, no words by you, that you're going off of what you were told. In both your written statement and in the statement you made to BCI, you're referring to something you saw with your eyes, aren't you?
That I saw a text screen, sir.
But it's your contention today that you didn't read that screen. This is coming from what someone said in the vehicle.
I said, when Mr. Hill said to me that she'll be out in a minute and holding up the text messages to show me, I seen that there was text bubbles. I can barely read this without tipping my glasses up, sir. There's no way I read a cell phone.
Okay. So it's your contention, Mr. Coy, that on December 22nd, 2020, you had something wrong with your vision?
I've worn contacts and glasses for years, sir. My vision has gotten worse since the cancer.
So it's your contention that you had something wrong with your vision on that day?
Objection, Your Honor, that's not his answer.
Overruled.
Again, I wear contacts, sir.
So you said in front of this jury that you weren't able to see those text bubbles, right? Is that what you said?
I could see there were text bubbles. I couldn't read the text.
You could not read the text. All right. Let's back up just a second just a moment in this exchange that you had with Mr. Hill. You said as you approached the vehicle, what did he do?
First, he rolled down the driver's side window. He leaned with his left arm towards his right knee, used his right arm, held the cell phone out and back towards me.
Okay. And do you kind of approach kind of close up to the vehicle as you approach a vehicle?
Not extremely close, not touching, but close, sir.
Okay. Is that for officer safety reasons?
Yes, sir.
And you also don't go directly beside the driver, is that correct? Or a little bit back for officer safety reasons as well?
Yes, sir.
So as you're having this conversation with Mr. Hill, you're slightly behind him, right?
Yes, sir.
So in order for him to talk to you, he's going to have to turn his body to at least make eye contact with you or look at you, correct?
I would believe so, sir.
And you stated that he took his left hand and he put it on his right knee,
Covering up his lap, sir.
covering up his lap.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why don't you take a look at that statement that you have in front of you? Go back one page prior. And you said to the BCI investigator, so the vehicle, the window rolls down. As I approach and start to shine my light, Mr. Hill puts his left arm on the window here, his left arm onto the seal of the window. With his right hand he leans back toward me and show me the display of his cell phone.
Yes, sir.
That's different than what you're saying today, isn't it?
No, sir.
Oh, which one was it? Did he have his left hand on the window or the left hand on his right knee?
If this is the windowsill, his left arm is on the windowsill, his left hand is on his right knee. It's both, sir.
Your left hand is on your left knee. You mean to tell me that he reached over all the way to his right knee with his hand on the windowsill?
With his elbow. He had his elbow on the window, rolled down the window, put his elbow here, was covering up his lap, putting his hand this direction, and this one back here. Make it an X, sir. It's the same thing I say in the statement.
Can you point me to the part in your statement, again, this is a transcript, where you make any reference to his hand being on his knee? I'll wait.
Say again, sir.
Point me to the part of your statement that you gave to BCI where you say Mr. Hill put his hand on his right knee.
It just says his left arm is on the seal of the window, sir.
Okay. So that's not what you said today, is it?
Not exactly, sir.
Okay. You said that you found it odd that he addressed you before you addressed him, correct?
Yes, sir.
What is odd about that, Mr. Coy?
Normally, people don't even roll down their windows till I get up to the vehicle and actually knock on it. That's just the normal way that traffic stops occur. So the fact that he rolled down the window and was already trying to tell me something before I ever even approached him seemed odd to me.
Well, this wasn't a traffic stop, was it?
No, sir, it was not.
Okay. This is a consensual encounter, correct?
Yes, sir.
At any point in time, well, up until this point in time, he could have just drove away, couldn't he?
Yes, sir.
So he addressed you, talked to you when he didn't have to, correct?
Yes, sir.
He was polite to you, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
He didn't use any foul language, did he?
No, sir.
And he told you what he was there for, didn't he?
He said that he was there to pick someone up.
But yet and still you found that behavior odd.
I found the entire incident to be odd, sir.
Okay. At what point in time did you start to think that this encounter is odd?
After I'd made contact with Mr. Hill, with the predetermined at that point, and saying he was waiting on somebody, having been there for almost 3 hours.
And what did you do after that, Mr. Coy?
I told Mr. Hill to have a good evening and return to my vehicle.
This encounter wasn't odd enough to at least to ask him his name?
Not at this point, sir.
But you recognize you could have done that, right?
I recognize, yes, I could have asked him his name.
Okay. Oftentimes in your years of policing, your 19 years of policing at this point, you've often asked people for their names, haven't you?
When it's necessary, sir.
You've asked them for their IDs if they have them, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hill was in a vehicle at that time.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it would have been improper for you to ask him for his name?
Improper?
Yes.
Not improper, sir.
Okay. And you ran the license plate to the vehicle, correct?
A little bit later,
How long? How much later?
approximately a couple minutes, sir.
What was Mr. Hill's behavior at the time that you're having this conversation with him?
He seemed wide-eyed and jittery, very dismissive. He seemed like he just wanted me to leave.
Wanted you to leave after he volunteered information to you?
In the manner that he was showing me the information and telling me that he was waiting for somebody.
Okay. Did he tell you to leave?
No, sir.
Did he ask you, why are you here?
No, sir.
And you go and you run the plate, and what were the results of the plate run?
It came back not stolen, but it didn't belong on the Oberlin Drive.
What do you mean it didn't belong on Oberlin Drive? Does a vehicle, are they limited to where they can travel?
Normally at that time of night, sir, the vehicles that are parked out front of houses and in driveways usually come back to the same house.
Certainly not always.
Not always.
So Mr. Hill was in a vehicle that didn't belong there because it was not registered to that address.
I didn't say that it didn't belong there. I said that the Oberlin Drive wasn't the address that was on the license plate. Therefore, it normally wouldn't be there.
My apologies, Mr. Coy, I'm just using your vernacular.
Overruled.
So you have this conversation, I'm sorry, let me back up. Did you talk about anything else with Mr. Hill?
No, sir, I did not.
Where was the caller at that point in time? Did the caller go back into the house, or did he remain outside?
At that point in time, I'm sitting in the vehicle running the tag. I'm not sure where the caller was, but when I stepped out of the vehicle to stand next to my vehicle, I seen the caller was still in his yard.
Is it your understanding that the 911 caller watched a lot of this interaction that you had with Mr. Hill outside?
Objection, Your
I'll rephrase.
Well, I mean, if he knows.
Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. Was Mr. Hill outside, I'm sorry, was the 911 caller outside at that time that you could tell?
Again, when I stepped out of the vehicle was the first time I looked back down and seen the caller was still there.
Okay. Did you ever see him go back into his house, or did he remain there?
No, I did not.
And at one point in time, he came down to tell you something, correct?
He started that direction.
Yes. Do you recall where that vehicle came back, like the name of the owner of that vehicle?
No, sir, I did not.
So if you have someone who was 1:40 in the morning, according to you, he's jittery and wide-eyed, and you decide to not ask him for his name, that's what you did?
At the time he gave me an explanation for him to be there, it seemed reasonable up to that point.
Seemed reasonable up until that point, right? Is that what you stated?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's a lot of reasons why people would be outside at this time of night, correct?
I would say so.
Yeah, there are legitimate reasons why someone would be outside at that time, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you and your partner both thought that it could be that he was warming up the car to stay warm, right?
That's what I thought. I'm not sure what Officer Detweiler thought.
So at this point, Mr. Hill wasn't operating a vehicle because it was parked, correct?
Vehicle was running, sir. Physical control.
So the vehicle was running, but it wasn't moving, is that right?
Correct.
You hadn't seen him do anything illegal or wrong,
Not at that point.
and instead of him giving you problems or telling you to go mind your own business, he told you the reason why he was there, correct?
Yes.
If he had told you to go pound salt or go somewhere else or mind your own business, there would have been nothing legally you could have done about that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because this was a public street, correct?
Yes, it was.
And he had every legal right to be there at that time.
Yes, sir.
And you decided that it wasn't necessary to ask him any further questions. You went back to your vehicle, and it was at that time, a little bit of time later, you ran the plates, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then at some point in time, Mr. Hill goes out and, according to you, bangs on the door to that residence. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
You said he banged on that door not once but twice,
Yes, sir.
and no one came out.
No, sir.
You later saw that there were people in that residence, right?
I did not, sir.
You didn't notice the woman come out after the shooting from the residence?
Not until body camera footage later on, sir.
And if you were so concerned about something happening at the residence, you could have gone up and knocked on the door yourself, couldn't you?
We hadn't gotten that far, sir.
So are you saying that would have been an improper thing to do?
That's not what I said, sir.
I know, but that is the question I'm asking. Would that had not been an improper thing to do?
In the timeline that we were involved in, sir, it wasn't that step that we were at.
So you're sitting in the car, and Mr. Hill bangs on the door, and then he comes back to the vehicle?
I was standing outside my car, sir.
Okay, you're standing outside your car with the door open.
Yes, sir.
Because, why are you doing that again?
That's the way I do it every time for officer safety, sir.
So you had safety in your mind, you were concerned,
Always.
but not enough to ask him for his name?
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
Sustain.
So you were concerned for your safety?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you had asked Mr. Hill for his name or his license, and you relate that to dispatch, what type of information could you have gotten back?
Okay. He can answer that question. Overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Driving history and address, driver's license number, date of birth, things of that nature, sir.
Would you have gotten back information as to whether he could have been a dangerous criminal if he were in that system like that?
Possibly.
You could have gotten back, if he had any, warrants.
Yes, sir.
You could have gotten back information as to whether he was even a licensed driver or not, couldn't you have?
Yes, sir.
And after he comes back to his vehicle, as you stated, he rummages around in the front seat area
Yes, sir.
and then goes where? Where does he go?
In between our vehicles and back up towards the house again.
Okay, is it at that point that you say something to him?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what did you say to him again?
What's going on?
And he didn't respond to you?
Not verbally, sir.
Was your car running at that time?
Yes, sir.
You've been a range officer for the Army as well as for CPD, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Fired a lot of shots, huh? Fired a lot of shots?
Yes, sir.
And you've actually put your employer on notice, the Columbus Police Department, that you had hearing issues at some point in time. Is that correct?
After this incident, sir, yes. I wear hearing aids now.
And when you told Mr. Hill to talk to you, was your vehicle running?
Yes, sir.
But you said he didn't say anything to you?
That's correct.
Is it impossible that he said something in response, but you just didn't hear him?
No, sir. I was looking right at him.
The individuals at the house, Mr. Ronker and the neighbor, is it possible that they were saying things to you and you didn't hear them?
Who was it again, sir?
Mr. Ronker and the resident at 1062?
I never saw a resident at 1062 ever, sir.
So you didn't hear any of that, and you didn't hear Mr. Hill make any response statement to you, and he just went up and kind of disappeared?
Yes, sir.
And you stated that's at the time that Amy Detweiler arrived,
Approximately.
and you have a short conversation with her, right?
Yes, sir.
And you simply say something to the effect of, "It's weird."
I believe I said something to, she asked me, what do we have? I said, I don't know, but something's not right.
Something's not right. So is it at that time that all of these things are kind of going off in your mind, that something terrible could be happening with respect to Mr. Hill and this house at 1062 Oberlin?
Within approximately a few seconds after that, as we start up the driveway, sir.
And as you're approaching the driveway, you don't give any other information to her, do you?
No, sir, we've worked together for years.
But saying something's not right could mean a lot of things, couldn't it?
My demeanor and body language gave Detweiler plenty of notice about what was going on, sir.
But you didn't have your gun out, did you?
No, sir.
So if Officer Detweiler stated that, as she did, that she believes you had your gun out, she's mistaken.
Yes, sir.
So let me get this straight. You're going into a garage that is dark, correct?
I didn't know that I was going to go in the garage at that point, sir.
You're approaching a garage that was dark, correct?
Correct.
With an individual who, according to you, ignored your commands, right? And you think that person is in the garage, right?
Not at first.
Okay. But you continue to approach it?
I continued up the driveway until I saw a flash of light in the garage, sir.
Okay. And at that point in time, you got the idea that he was in the garage?
Yes, sir.
And you continue to approach it?
Yes, sir.
Is that right? And you still don't have your gun out?
No, sir.
Let's talk about your approach for a second. Your Honor, permission to publish already admitted exhibits onto the Elmo.
What's the exhibit number?
We'll start with State's Exhibit I.
You may publish.
Thank you. Proper permission on those two as well. Whoa.
I don't know what that means. Oh,
All right, Mr. Coy, I'm displaying what's been marked as State's Exhibit I. Does this look familiar to you?
Yes, sir. I've seen it in the courtroom.
Yes. Right. Right. So this is your vehicle here,
Yes, sir.
and this is Mr. Hill's vehicle? Wow.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't like this here. That's Mr. Hill's vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Can you, I believe there's a laser pointer up there. Can you show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your path of travel?
From right here, I travel back this direction and over towards this driveway.
Do you go in front of this tree, or do you go around this tree this way?
In front of the tree, this way.
And you walk up the driveway?
Yes, sir.
And where do you see Mr. Hill? You said you saw a glimmer of light in the garage.
You can't see the inside of the garage of where you'd be at, sir. It would be more up here.
Okay. Going to hand you another, or show you another photograph. We'll go with State's Exhibit A48. Are you able to show from this photograph?
Back over here, sir.
Okay. He was back over there crouched down?
Yes, sir.
And what did you say or do as you saw him and he was crouched down?
Before I said anything, he stood up, and then as I shined my light on him, I said, something's not right here, come out, show yourself.
Okay. And what did he do in response to your words?
At first, he stood there.
Okay. And then what?
Began to move towards me.
In what manner was he walking toward you?
Instead of coming straight out of the garage, it was kind of at an angle.
Okay. And then what happened next?
His body was bladed as he gets to the back of the car. And as he comes out to the side of the car, I see a silver revolver in his hand.
Okay. So let's talk about this for a bit. You said he pauses for a second before complying with your orders?
Yes, sir.
And you said, I think you told Mr. Collins that he was kind of sucking up to the side of the car?
Yes, walking at an angle.
Okay. You acknowledged that there wasn't a tremendous amount of room between the vehicle and the house, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were asked a question during your interview with BCI. You were asked what kind of pace is he walking at, and your response is, he's not running, he's not slow meandering to get there, but there is a quickened pace. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And then there was a question. He started to come out when you verbally reached out to him, right? And your answer was yes. He was in the far back corner, and when I said something not adding up, come out here, show yourself, and he had turned and started to come out of the garage. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And there's another question. Okay, so when you shouted, show yourself, he turned and started walking out. Would you say that he was obeying your commands? So I'm asking you this question now, Mr. Coy. Was he obeying your commands?
Partially, sir.
Partially. You told a man to come out, and he's coming out. Did you tell him to do anything else?
Show yourself.
And he was showing himself by coming out, wasn't he?
Only part of himself, sir.
Well, he was behind a Nissan Altima. What could he do more to show himself besides walking to you?
Not hide his right hand behind his leg.
So you're saying that he was hiding his right hand behind his leg?
He walked several steps. Normal people walk with swinging the arms. He was walking with his right hand staying behind his leg.
Okay. At that point, you were concerned where his hands were?
Yes, sir.
But nowhere in this encounter did you say, show me your hands, did you?
It happened too fast, sir.
Nowhere in this encounter did you say, "Show me your hands."
I said, show yourself, sir.
When asked the question of when you shouted, "Show yourself," he turned and started walking out, would you say he's obeying your commands right there? Your response was, he is. He is responding to my commands. But, and a normal reaction from my training and the thousands of times I've had somebody when I give that loud authoritative voice, the response normally is to like, "Hey, you got it. What's going on?" I didn't. He was responding to me there, but he wasn't responding in a manner that was submissive. Do you remember saying that to the agents?
Yes, sir.
So would Mr. Hill still be alive if he was submissive to you?
Sustained.
So you contend that he was not responding in a manner that was submissive, right?
Yes, sir.
You said he sucked up towards the vehicle. Everything said to me while he was responding to me, he was not being compliant with me. You remember saying that?
Yes, sir.
But you would agree with me, Mr. Coy, that this man was doing everything you asked him to do, wasn't he?
No, sir.
Asked and answered.
Overruled.
What's your answer, Mr. Coy?
No, sir.
I'm going to back up a bit. As you're walking there up the garage and throughout this entire interaction, you had a mic on your chest, correct?
On my shoulder, sir.
On your shoulder. That communicates with whom?
Everyone.
And you would agree with me that it is your duty and responsibility to communicate important things to other police officers, isn't that right?
When it's time, sir.
Just to be clear, you never saw Mr. Hill with a weapon.
I thought what I saw to be a weapon, sir.
But you never saw Mr. Hill with a weapon, did you?
Asked and answered.
No, overruled.
You never saw Mr. Hill with a weapon, did you?
No, sir.
You fired 4 shots at him, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were aiming center mass.
Yes, sir.
And you stated that you were attempting to stop the threat, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were attempting to do that by shooting him, correct?
As I was trained, sir.
After the shooting, you tell your partner, Amy Detweiler, to get a medic,
Yes, sir.
get officer support,
Yes, sir.
and then you exit the scene, correct?
I just kind of wandered.
And at some point in time, Officer Bersardi came up to you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he was trying to, I guess, talk to you and provide you comfort, right?
He was trying to get me to leave.
And you stated to Officer Bersardi, "I gotta find what I missed." Remember saying that?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember asking for a bottle of water?
Yes, sir.
And you were coughing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have asthma?
No, sir.
Mr. Coy, would it be safe to say that after the shooting, you really stopped doing your job as a police officer? Is that right?
I'm required to remove myself from the situation per our policies.
You didn't let officers know about your thoughts about things that could have been happening in the house, correct?
I went into shock, sir.
So you didn't let any of the officers know that, correct?
Speak to anyone, sir.
All right. So no point in time did you call for backup?
I did not, sir.
Mr. Coy, isn't it true that you really never formulated an opinion that something serious was happening in that house, did you?
I'm sorry, sir.
You never formulated an opinion as to that there was something serious happening in that house, did you?
As we were walking up the driveway, I began to think that this could be a home invasion or a burglary. I just a couple months earlier, had a home invasion where I walked in on a ski mask person with a gun and had three girls downstairs, one girl upstairs, duct tape. It was fresh in my mind.
Mr. Coy, so fresh that you never pulled your weapon out, did you?
Not until I saw a threat, sir.
So much of a threat that you saw that this incident was so powerful that you never even told anyone about it, correct?
No, sir.
You didn't radio dispatch, did you?
I told Officer Detweiler too,
And,
sir.
and the fact was that you had shot an unarmed man who didn't have a weapon, and then you just came up with this story later to cover yourself, correct?
No, sir.
And the first time that you let anyone know that you thought a burglary was happening is when you wrote that statement about a month after this happened.
No, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Redirect,
May I proceed, Your Honor?
you may.
Adam,
Yes, sir.
yell gun, gun, he's got a gun because you're lying?
No, sir.
Did you respond with deadly force because you saw what you perceived as a deadly threat in his hand?
Yes, sir.
Describe what you saw in his hand.
No, overruled.
What did you see in his hand?
I saw silver, metal, thin in the front, thick in the back, coming up at me, a silver revolver.
When you were coughing, is that another term, were you dry heaving?
I was dry heaving. I was about to be sick.
When you have you had a microphone on the shoulder, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it common practice, Adam, that when you're investigating something at a house, a dark garage and stuff like that, you get on the microphone and go, hey, I'm investigating a dark garage.
Absolutely
Just
not,
want to let
sir.
everybody know.
No, sir.
How many officers are out in the Division of Columbus at the midwatch at that point in time on runs?
I have no idea, sir.
Hey, send backup. I may have something's not making sense. Have you ever done that?
Yes, sir.
When?
When it was needed, sir.
Why didn't you call SWAT in this situation as you were going up the driveway, Mr. Coy?
You don't call SWAT for a burglary, sir.
Mr. Pearson asked if he was complying. Your answer was he was partially complying, right?
Yes, sir.
Where was his left hand?
In the air.
Is that compliance?
Yes.
Was his right hand in the air?
No.
Partial compliance. You told Officer Detweiler that something was not right, right?
Yes, sir.
Did a person ever come outside from the house while you were waiting with Mr. Hill on the street?
No, sir.
Didn't turn out to be right, did it? The fact that he told you someone's coming out.
Yes, sir.
Did a person ever come to the door or ever turn on a light inside based on the knocking?
No, sir.
Was the person parked in front of where you were dispatched to, 1054 Oberlin?
No, sir.
Wasn't right, was it?
No, sir.
Was the person parked in front of 1062 Oberlin when you pulled up behind the vehicle?
No, sir.
Where was the person parked?
1070, sir.
Wasn't right, was it?
No, sir.
Did the person go into 1070?
No, sir.
Wasn't right, was it?
It seemed odd, sir.
When the person went to 1062, was that right based on your encounter at that point in time?
I wasn't sure, sir.
Wasn't right, was it?
No.
Did the tag come back to the area that you were dispatched to?
No, sir.
Wasn't right, was it?
No, sir.
A lot of things not right, right, Mr. Coy?
That's correct, sir.
Let's talk about contacts. I have contacts. Can you see the screen up there?
Yes, sir.
Because why?
Because I'm wearing my glasses, sir.
Okay. Can you read something? For the record, I have a cell phone in my hand. Can you read something from there?
No, sir.
Do you need reading glasses to do that?
Yes, sir.
I believe on direct that you told Mr. Hill while you were there, correct?
Yes, sir.
You told him that you had to be there and talk to him because you were sent on a run.
Yes, sir.
How fast did this event occur from the time you started going up the thing when you first saw the shining light and you told him come out? Was it 10, 15, 20 seconds, sir?
Maybe a little longer.
The entire time, right?
Yes, sir.
Until the time when you saw him suck up against the car until he came edge and you saw the glint of silver steel. How long did that take?
Fractions of a second, sir. Sub-second.
Are you required to give a written statement?
No, sir.
Are you required to sit down with BCI agents and give an hour's interview?
No, sir.
Why did you do that?
I wanted to tell everyone what happened, sir.
When you tried to explain your encounter with the person that Mr. Pearson kept asking about, whether you saw a text or not a text, were you trying to explain what happened at the car?
Yes, sir.
When you were talking to the BCI people and wrote out your statement, were you trying to explain that the person made an X with his hand?
Yes, sir.
Is that in your statement?
No, sir.
The X in
Yes,
hand?
yes, sir, that is.
In both, correct?
Yes, sir.
If I'm sitting there and I put an X at my hand, where's the left hand going to be?
On the right-hand side, sir.
Where's the left elbow going to be if you're sitting in a car?
On the windowsill, sir.
Case is solved. You didn't use the word elbow, did you, in your statement?
No, sir.
You gave a 10-page statement, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you try to put the basics of what happened that night?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you try to answer every question truthfully and honestly as you remembered it when you met with the detectives or the agents?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Recross?
Follow up, just one question. Mr. Coy, you have a PA system in your vehicle?
Yes, sir.
How does that work?
It's outside the scope of any direct or redirect.
No, at this point, overruled.
Thank
You
you.
can ask the question.
Yes, you have a PA system in your police cruiser at that time?
Yes, sir.
How does it work?
There's a separate mic that you pick up that's not connected to the radio system.
And
You key it like a mic and you would talk into it, sir.
what happens? What's the effect of you talking into it?
It amplifies your voice.
So you can talk to a lot, it's really loud if you want it to be, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
You may.
Why didn't you get on that mic and say, hey, potentially the person I'm thinking about, maybe things aren't adding up. Where the hell are you? Come out here, come out here. Do you do that on a regular basis, Adam?
No, sir, we did not.
Have you ever done that?
No, sir.
No further questions.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. You may step down at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Counsel, please approach. Excuse us a moment, ladies and gentlemen, off the record.